Hey guys, Khadroth here. Today I wanted to give you guys a little bit of a PSA on a new unit that might be coming out soon on JP. And the reason I wanted to spread the word and get this out there is he might be critically important to a lot of you guys' farming plans, especially going forward with things like 90 plus nodes, because he's going to do something we really haven't seen in game before. Let's check him out. So here we have Oberon. Now, Oberon so far in game on JP has been story only. He is an NPC. We don't know all of his parameters, but on screen you guys can see what we do know. Now, I want you guys to keep in mind right here, this is all subject to change. We could end up getting a exact Oberon like this, or we could end up getting a slightly tweaked Oberon. There have been instances in time where we got to use a character as an NPC that did not get released the exact same way. The most infamous one that I can tell you guys about is Merlin when he was previewed in Babylonia. Because in that case, Merlin had heal immediately up front on his NP and then heal over time. So he was an extremely powerful support there for healing, but then when he was released, the heal up front got removed. So we don't know, is Oberon going to get released in this exact same way, but I'm going to go through him here with you guys and talk about why I think he could be so game-changing for all of us. So again, we don't know Oberon's class. Every single time he has been used in the story so far, he's been different. I'm not going to go into story spoilers with you guys at all, so don't worry about anything like that. But just to show you guys his skills for what we know, his first skill is a 20% party charge here. That already is nice. You see a lot of supports out there in the game that already have this. But then he also is going to give 30% party NP damage with that as well. So really, really nice. It's 3-turn duration, so really good damage buff with party charge here. Then on top of that, his second skill is a targeted 50% charge, which now you're beginning to probably, click here and go, wait, that's 70% potentially for someone. And yes, this is what's going to be so game-changing about Oberon. The problem with this skill is it does have a demerit to it. The target will get a 20% drain 1 turn later from this skill. So you can charge someone by 50%, but then 1 turn later they get drained 20%. This is sort of distinctly anti-looper. It's also going to be something that you're going to have to try to find a way around or mitigate. But here's the deal. In most of these cases, we can just easily resolve this and say some sort of 3-turn by using this skill on the last turn. Therefore, it drains after we've basically already killed everyone and we don't care anymore. What makes Oberon even more insane is we still don't know his third skill. We know nothing about it. So we don't know Oberon's class. We don't know Oberon's third skill. He could get even stronger than we've already shown here. It could be the third skill has nothing to do with damage output or anything facilitating looping or farming or anything like that. It doesn't matter. Already as is, this kid is strong, and it's why we're filming this PSA today. Again, I think a lot of people probably haven't thought about, they've realized that Oberon could be nice, but they probably haven't thought about the potential ramifications here. So we're going to keep talking about Oberon's deck here. You guys can see his traits are very interesting. There's more traits here that he has that we know about than these, but these are the two kind of important ones. So right off the bat, he gets debuff success rate increased by 10% for all non-foreigner allies. That's not bad. That just means that everyone's going to have a higher chance of landing debuffs on the enemy. Then on top of that, he also gets decreased buff success rate for all Merlin allies by 20%. Now this is a gross oversimplification. My understanding of this and interpretation, it could be subject to change on release, remember. But my understanding is that if Merlin is in your party, buff success rate goes down by 20%. This isn't some sort of trait as far as we can see. Like it's not like people that have the quote-unquote Merlin trait. It just appears to be if you have taken Merlin in your party in any way, shape, or form, buff success rate goes down, which means that potentially even Oberon's own buffs could fail. So it wouldn't just be Merlin buffs if that's the way that it's supposed to be. So it seems to me like they're trying to make him able to function in your parties, but not able to be used with Merlin at the same time. Or at least if you're going to use it, then you're risking something failing due to a buff failure. So it's a very interesting trait there. It seems like they're trying to separate these two and not make sure that they're used. And there's a reason for that story-wise, but we're not going to talk about it. For the second trait here, he's also immune to mental debuffs. Again, that's a really nice trait to have. It just means that you're not going to be able to stun him or charm him or any of the other really annoying effects that kind of come along with mental debuffs. He's also self-immune to curse, so really, really nice in that regard because you're not going to be able to chip away at him with curse damage, which has sort of been a thing for a lot of the newer units on JP. We've definitely seen some nice curse stacking here lately with Van Gogh and what's his face? I can't remember it. The alter ego. Doman. There we go. Again, with his NP here, we have another nice capability. When it comes to support casters, and I'm just saying casters, or sorry, not casters, supports in general, they typically don't give us a damage dealing NP. It doesn't mean there aren't instances where it exists. Again, Paracelsus has one, Helena has one, even Nero Bride has a damage dealing NP. But in a lot of cases, it's sort of toned down. Their kit isn't like overzealous. We don't really see a damage dealing NP out of any of the high rarity supports for the most part, with the exception being, again, Nero Bride, who's only single target. But Oberon actually gets an AoE NP here. It's also going to inflict sleep after damage for 1 turn, and then grant all enemies invincibility, which is a demerit. It's going to make them invincible, but that's sort of to protect the sleep so that they can't get woken up. So this in effect really locks down the enemies and just deprives them of a turn. And I think it's going to be a really interesting thing to see in practice, but it does mean that potentially you could use Oberon to handle a wave himself, or you could use him in addition potentially to another damage dealer taking out some stuff. You just might want to put that in P second so that it doesn't impact your damage dealer, or you might want to have the damage dealer have invuln pierce so that you can go right through that invuln. But again, remember, you'll be waking the enemies up from sleep if you do that, so you don't necessarily want to. His overcharge is also a super effective bonus against lawful enemies. I think it starts at a base of 150%. So pretty nice there. He's going to be extra effective against lawful, and that's sort of because my understanding of Oberon is he's just chaos incarnate. He is sort of a trickster a little bit. So very interesting to see him get this. But again, like I said, the big thing here is just the fact that he has a damage dealing NP. That already is a nice step up from our normal support. So he's not going to necessarily have survivability. He is certainly all focused right now on offense, and who knows what the third skill is. He might get something in that regard. But even still, the survivability might come by virtue of that sleep and being able to deprive all of the enemies of a turn. So what are the ramifications of Oberon? This is, again, like I said, I don't think a lot of people have necessarily thought about this. Well, for starters, he's a 70% charger support with potential 30% NP damage added. Again, just to mention Waver in here, Waver is a 50% with 30% damage added. And that's not including Waver's defense down and other things. I think you're still going to have uses for Waver at times. But this is a very interesting thing to see. Oberon is definitely stepping up the bar as far as charge supports go. This also means that Oberon plus 2 50% chargers with a plug suit is now 170% charge. If we're looking to do any sort of 3-turn or anything like that, and we're trying to make someone handle all 3 waves, it basically just means we need to find 130% more charge. That's not that hard to do if you have the right setups. Again, you could have a 50% charger. You could end up having, with a K-scope, you could end up having a SuperScope with a 30% charger, and all of a sudden this works. And you guys can see here, anyone with 30% charge can now automatically 3-turn with Oberon, thanks to this. So Arjuna Altar fans, rejoice. Anyone that has a 30% charge that maybe couldn't quite get over that hump and actually handle all the waves themselves, now can. This is what's going to change with Oberon, is Oberon sort of jailbreaking, Oberon sort of letting a lot more units be able to do this. So it's an interesting thing to see and consider for the future here. Double Oberon is also now a potential 140% charge added with 60% NP damage. This also means that double Oberon with a 50% charger now adds 190% charge. which means that anyone with a SuperScope and 10% self-charge can 3-turn. So all you need is 10% charge. You just need to find it somehow on a unit. It could be them having charge, could be them having refund on the back of their MP, or it could be them having, again, charge per turn or something like that. You can force it to work here. And then again, same thing here now. Anyone with a K-scope and 30% charge with double Oberon would be able to loot. As long as you guys can distribute the charges effectively, you should be good. And again, there are multiple other options out there like Reigns that allow you to really break up charge into nice increments. So this shouldn't be too hard of a thing to do. Also, in the future, because of this, now anyone who can generate up to 110% self-charge can, and it must be allowable to be broken up between turns, because again, if you do it all in one turn, it doesn't matter. That 10% extra that you got over the NP gauge is wasted. You're not going to be able to do anything. So you must have some way of breaking up that 110% between 2 turns. But if you can now 3-turn with an MLB Black Grail. And the 2 recent examples we have of this on JP are the new Lancer Lancelot and Caster Coup, who just got an upgrade to his 3rd skill. Caster Coup's upgrade is a delayed self-popping guts that provides 80% charge. So Caster Coup can 3-turn with an MLB Black Grail or any sort of 6 CE comp as long as he can do the damage. This is beginning to get a little scary. It's opening the doors for a lot of other 6 CE comps. It's allowing people to do things that they had never done before. The interesting thing here, though, again, is going to be that Merlin is not going to necessarily be compatible with that trait, and I think it's because they wanted to stop Oberon from boosting people too much. Oberon is definitely giving way more in the charge capability. Oberon is not giving a super amount in the damage capability. But because of that, because he's giving you more charge, better craft essences might open up. Better options for damage in that regard might be there. So it's why I think they're trying to say, okay, no, you can't use him with Merlin because Merlin really boosts Buster damage quite a bit here. So, and who knows, we might get, a Proto Merlin or someone else in the future that also falls into this trait. We might get a 50% Buster Charger, or maybe they end up upgrading Merlin, which I don't think will happen. But again, any of this could in theory happen, and that's sort of them seemingly protecting against that future there. But we'll see. It doesn't mean that you can't use them with other Buster effective units. You could use them with someone like Nightingale or Shakespeare even to get some Buster buffing. But it seems like they said, okay, but with Merlin, it's too much. So let's not do that. And then now double Oberon as well can potentially 3-turn. It's going to depend on Oberon's class, it's going to depend on the situation, but yeah, as long as you have starting charge Cs and you use double Oberon, the amount of charge that he brings to both the party and a target means that he might be able to have one Oberon handle 1 wave and the other Oberon handle 2 waves. It's really crazy. The only requirements would be starting charge and or charge supports. So again, these are the ramifications of Oberon. This is how he's going to change comps going forward. It doesn't mean that stuff like quicker arts are going to struggle now that Oberon's here. In fact, Oberon's just another tool for that. He's going to open the doors for more units and allow them to also kind of do what those comps have been doing. So this isn't the death of arts. This isn't the death of quick or anything like that. It's just another tool in your kit. Now, we wanted to show you guys exactly what we were talking about here. You're probably wondering, wait, how the hell does Caster Coup 3-turn with no craft essence requirement or with an MLB Black Grail? Here you go. Here's how. We're assuming, again, neutral enemies here, neutral trait. And this is just going to be a Reigns, I believe, double Oberon comp here. And so we're going to start out on turn 1 here from 0% charge. And we're going to use all the Reigns skills to get him to 50%. We're then going to pop Caster Coup's self-charge, and again, that's going to get him 30% there, and then he's got the delayed 80% coming through off of the guts, which will happen on the next turn. And then we're going to pop Oberon's first skill, which is that party charge. So Ku's self-charge of 30%, Oberon skill 1, which is 20%, plus the Rain's 50% charge. There you go, you're at 100%, and boom, you have handled turn 1. Now, in turn 2 here, we end up with the guts going off. There you go, you've got 80% charge now. So, because of that, Oberon can, at least the second Oberon, you'll have plug suited out the Rains for the second Oberon here. You can now use the second Oberon's first skill for another 20% charge. You're at 100%. There goes turn 2. And then in turn 3 here, now, because of that delayed drain, here's where we pop the targeted charges from Oberon. But there you go. There's 100% charge from those two 50% charges. Use the plug suit attack up, and again, you're good. Remember, too, you're also getting attack up now from the upgrade to Ku's third skill, so this actually ends up becoming quite dumb. So with an MLB Black Grail here, and you guys can see we plotted out all the NP levels for you. We also plotted out all the turns for you. You guys can see, if you're lucky enough to have a NP5 Ku, because again, he's story locked, boom, there you go. This is actually pretty insane neutral damage. This isn't even effective. And this is a 3-star doing this. So I want you guys to imagine the capabilities here from this. So again, and we did put the disclaimer in here, this is based off of if Oberon skills stay the same as they are as an NPC. We don't know how he will be released yet, but this is why we're doing the PSA here, why I wanted to spread this word. And it doesn't stop there. Again, here you go. This is single Oberon double Rains with Arjuna Alter as a 30% charger. So we start him out with a SuperScope here at 100% charge. He's just going to kind of raw NP here on the first turn and handle that. Then as we get into turn 2 here, you guys are going to go ahead and pop both Oberon's first and second skill here. Remember, we're working with a buster unit that doesn't have like refund on the back of the NP. So the fact that Oberon's skill drains isn't an issue. We don't care about it. And then we're going to use Rains's first and second skill here and basically allow him to get to 100% charge as well as having the 40% attack up. And again, you guys can mix and match. You guys could end up doing it in a different order if you so chose. You could do all of Rain skills here, then 2 of the other Rain skills if you plug suit her, and then do Oberon for 20%, and that would also get you even more damage. But just for this demonstration, we did it this way. So again, you guys can see that'll handle wave 2. And then as we end up in turn 3 here, you guys are going to have, in this scenario, basically Rains' first, the first Rains is skill 3 for another 20%. The second Rains, as you rotate with the plug suits, first through 3 skills, that's going to get it to 70%. And then again, Arjuna alters self-charge of 30%. Now you're at full, and boom, you pop the plug suit attack buff, and here you guys go. Again, we gave you guys the neutral damage numbers here, which again, Arjuna Alter is going to be effective against just about everything. So this is pretty insane when you start thinking about this and what this is going to do. There's not going to be a lot of stuff that's really going to live through this. Again, this is going to require a SuperScope to make work. So not necessarily going to be a 6 CE type of comp, but this is also just 1 Oberon. This is not 2. So you could potentially get even more charge and step down to a normal K-scope or something like that. It's not necessarily a requirement to have a SuperScope now, thanks to Oberon. And that's going to be really, really nice. And then as the last one here, again, we just wanted to show you guys a little bit of some potential for a quick unit here. Achilles is kind of notorious as having a really wonky charge and refund in his kit for a quick unit. He's often kind of driven us a little bit mad with how we've presented him for lottos and stuff like that. He gets just kind of annoying to calculate at times. But here you guys go. We could basically make this refund agnostic here and just sort of not give a crap about it and instead just end up full automating the charge. So you can start them out with a SuperScope, end up using Achilles' first skill for that quick up, do double Scotty here in this comp with a single Oberon, and then go ahead and handle wave 1 there as you're at 100% already. Then in turn 2, you can use both the Scotty charge skills to get him back to full, and there you go, he's going to handle turn 2. Again, you could mix and match this. You could try to work Oberon into the second wave, but then in doing that, you'd be forced to use a Scotty defense down on turn 2, which might not be a bad thing depending on your NP level or what you're trying to do with. But again, so that'll handle turn 2. And then turn 3 here, you guys can see now we pop both the Scotty's skill 2s. That's going to be their defense down. Then you're going to swap one of them for Oberon, bring him in, pop Achilles' skill 3 for the automated 30%, and then pop Oberon skills to get another 70% charge here, and then use the plug suit attack buff. And you didn't even care about refund with a quick unit now. You literally just automated everything about this if you wanted. And again, there could be some potential for units in the future, like say Doman or even Karen or something like that, to maybe even get away with something like 0% starting charge or a 50% starting charge CE or something like that. So this is opening up the doors again. It's one thing I really wanted to emphasize to you guys. So again, here's the raw damage numbers going across all the way to NP5 and then through turns 1 through 3 here. You guys can see there's some really nice damage output even still, even though we're not necessarily using, you know, someone to really boost it to the max. We're using only Oberon giving 30% at this point. But yeah, there's a lot of options here for you guys. Again, this is sort of why I wanted to do this PSA. I wanted to let you guys know this unit is probably coming. We don't know when Oberon will be released. It could be part 2 of this part 2 banner here, or it could be anniversary, or it could be part 3. We don't know how they're going to do this. Just keep your eyes out. And again, try to save your quartz. Oberon is really going to be a nice unit if he's released as is. So thank you guys for watching. I will see you guys for the next one. We're still working on the Buster Guide for Gilfest coming up here soon. As always, you guys can follow me on Twitter. Again, subscribe to the YouTube channel. It helps out. Or check me out on Twitch, where I stream weeknights from 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern. So catch you guys for the next video, and thank you guys for watching.